Tuesday. Welcome to Karma Yoga Center's Full Moon Astrology Report. We'll be doing these on new moons and full moons, so if you're interested in getting these, please subscribe to our website below and sign up for the bi-monthly updates from the astrology. Michael does the new moon, I do the full moon. We both have different approaches to reading astrology. My approach is connecting it to where I'm at in my life and seeing how, then I look back up to the stars and I go, oh yeah, that's how that worked. And I've been looking a lot at a yogic philosophy of the koshas lately, and I've been teaching it in my classes. And if you're not familiar with the koshas, kosha in Sanskrit means sheath or layer. And these sheaths are 5 deep, and they wrap around circumference, the center, or our atma, which is the Sanskrit word for soul. And I thought I'd bring in this concept of the koshas in this full moon astrology talk. Full moon in Sagittarius on Tuesday the 29th. And there's some other aspects I'll bring into this at the same time. But first let's go back to the koshas and break them down. So our outermost layer is Annamaya kosha, which is our physical body, which is how we see ourselves, what we look in the mirror and see, our hair, our skin, our physique. It's our bones, our muscles, our tendons. It's how we show up physically in the world. And then the next layer in is Pranamaya kosha, and this is our breath body. It's our chakras, our nadis, our meridian lines, the acupuncture points that our acupuncturists use on us. It's the prana, or the creative life force. Another word for that is chi, that is moving through us. It's the invisible anatomy of our being. And then on the next layer in, going inward, is Manomaya kosha, and this is our mental emotional body. And this is where I think most people get stymied. And this is the layer that I think is really going to be relevant to this talk on the full moon in Sagittarius. Our mental emotional body, where all of our intellect rides, where our ego sits, where our emotions sit. And so sometimes we go physical, yeah, okay, I've got this body. Yeah, I feel some of that prana layer that you're talking about. I kind of get what you're saying. And then definitely I've got the mental emotional layer you're talking about, and then we get stuck. But there's 2 more layers. The next layer after Manomaya kosha, or the mental emotional layer, is our wisdom layer, Vijnanamaya kosha. And this is our deep intuition. This is the knowings we have that we already came into this world with. We didn't have to study. We didn't have to have a life experience for it. It's just embedded on our heart. And sometimes we don't reach into that deeper layer of ourselves because we get stuck in that mental emotional layer. And then I said there's 5, so there's 1 more. Past wisdom layer is Anandamaya kosha, and this is our wellspring of joy. Ananda means bliss in Sanskrit. This is your bliss body. This is a part of you that's always happy and always joyful. And it's not so much in the emotional sense of it, it's just a way of being. It's just a birthright. It's a wellspring of joy and love. And all these sheaths and layers wrap around our soul self, or Atma. And if you think about what the word Atma means, it's in the same lineage as the word atom, like all the little atoms of our body. So our soul is all these layers, all these atoms penetrate through the layers. It's the same derivative atmosphere, everything around us. Our soul is everything around us as well as within us. So how does this tie into the full moon in Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius is the visionary. It's the truth seeker. It's speaking our truth. It's the part of our being, as we have all the astrology in us, it's the part of our being that is hungry to know more and to go seek it and to do it in a way of truth. It's the natural world. It's the laws of nature. And the moon is illuminating that essence on Tuesday the 29th. So then we also have another element or aspect happening in astrology. We have the sun, our big guy, is hanging out in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a lot of that mental stuff. Gemini is wanting to know things. It's curious bear. It wants to know how we did this, how we do that. It often rides the fence, can't make a decision, don't know where to go. And the sun is sitting in this sign. And to me, that's very indicative of that mental layer of our koshas. So we could say, in essence, we are sitting right now, the sun, how we show up in life, in that mental layer. And oftentimes, what we do when we're stuck in the mental layer, instead of looking back to those next layers, the wisdom layer, the bliss layer, or even ultimately our soul self, we turn our back to it and we look more to the physical or the external outside layers. And while we're in this sun in Gemini and we're saddling the fence, trying to figure out what side to go on, we could use that full moon in Sagittarius that's saying, shoot the arrow, go far, look beyond just that surface of the physical, just that right there easy, and turn and face the strange, as David Bowie so beautifully coined. And the strange is our soul self. Our strange is that bliss body. Our strange is our wisdom and our intuition. And it's strange because it's not familiar. It's not every day. We're not in it all the time, or at least most of us. Most of us are reaching and wanting and desiring that, but we turn our back to it and look this way towards the physical. And that's the whole plight of human, is being that human in the spiritual, or the spiritual in the human, and trying to go both ways and what to do. And that's a lot of that sun in Gemini. And then to add to it, another aspect during this astrological time is Mercury, the communicator, also known as Hermes in mythology, is cruising home to Gemini. On the same day that the moon goes full in Sagittarius, Mercury is going to slide right into his home base of Gemini and saddle right up next to the sun. And that's kind of like having the ear of the big dog. And it's a guest in your house. So Mercury is going to be pulling in our sun self, which is our outward expression of how we show up, and saying, I know what to say, I know what to do, come with me. And then at the same time, on the same day, we've got the moon illuminating our big vision. And so we're going to feel torn. Do I go with the familiar? Do I go with the physical? Do I go with what is common to me, to comfort me, to be the familiar? Or do I go for this truth that I know is in my heart, this deep intuition? Do I go for this vision that I see is my next potential, the soul purpose? Do I turn and face the strange and ask my soul what to do, or do I turn and go familiar? And you know best what to do. But if I have to put my money on something, I'm going to go with my soul self. I'm going to go with my intuition self. I'm going to go with that bliss body that's already inside me, not something that I have to pay money for on the outside to make me happy. So it's a great time, in my opinion, to turn and face our own soul self and do some inquiry, do some meditation, do some ceremony around what is truly our truth. What is our soul's purpose? Why are we here? Those are the big Gemini questions the sun in Gemini could be asking, instead of being fearful or overprotective or wanting to cop out and go with just our commonplace or our comfort zone or familiar. It's time for adventure. It's time for opportunity to arise. We've got Uranus and Taurus. That's a beautiful, ripe, fertile ground for fertility of the earth, for buying land, for making change, for bringing value into our life. So maybe this is the best time to shoot that arrow into the unknown and seek that deeper truth of who we are. Another big aspect that I'm really excited about is this grand water trine. And so sometimes I think astrologers get a little heavy in their language, and I'm going to try to keep this simple. But there's 3 planets that are in a perfect triangle to each other. Coming up on Monday the 28th, the trine starts, and it'll go to about June 5th. And a trine is very harmonious energy. It's these 3 angles coming together. And the trines are all in water signs. So you have Jupiter in Scorpio, and you have Venus in Cancer, and you have Pisces and Neptune. And they're all working together to make this really dreamy, deep, watery, beautiful energy. So while we're shooting our arrow and shooting for our truth, and we have this sun energy of curiosity to help back that if we stay turning and facing the strange, we can do this in this really dreamy, beautiful container of the sky's the limit, the depth of the ocean. I'm sitting here by these beautiful flowers up here on the top of Table Mesa in Golden, Colorado, as a reminder to us all that this is the full moon that represents the flower moon. It's when the flowers are really beautiful and bright. You see lots of pictures on Instagram and Facebook right now, me included, of everyone posting their beautiful flowers from the garden because we've been waiting for this thaw. We've been waiting for them to come into fruition. And it's kind of very indicative of this water trine and the full moon in Sag. It's that same kind. It's a time to harvest our bouquets and bring them forward and present them and give that gift of who we are and stand in that strong, beautiful truth of who we are. And that might mean that we have to turn and face the strange. And I hope that you continue to follow us on our astrology reports. See the link below and just click to sign up, and you'll get those every weekly, or bi-weekly rather, for our full moon and new moon reports from Karma Yoga Center. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend. Happy Memorial